Welcome to the Big Picture podcast. Here with Thiery Ringo. Today I'm here with a special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Solic and I'm one of the elected officers currently still at the University of Portsmouth.
Nice. So Maria has been an elected officer for 2 years. 2 years. Would you have gone for a third term? I know. This is literally what we're speaking about before I started. Would you have gone for a third term if you had the chance?
It's a tricky one because I feel that after 2 years of doing this job, now I finally know what I would like to do and how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if it was in some other organization, I don't think that I would have rerun in this organization per se. So I guess to be as short as possible without like spilling too much. But yeah, I think that would be my answer.
Okay, that's a good answer. How has it been like being like a politician? I dare say. I know it's not like politics, quote unquote. It's not like politics, it's not that way. But how is it like being a politician? Because you have to constantly be with people. You have to constantly be having discussions with people. You need to constantly be reframing like the policy that the university has, and seeing how that matches with the policy you ran with. So how have you tackled that? Have you managed that?
Well, I wouldn't call myself actually a politician in any way, shape, or form.
I'm calling her a politician, though.
I'm really not political also in the way I approach people and I approach situations. I approach really high challenging conversations as well. I'm coming from, well, there are discussions if it's like Balkans or not, but I'm coming from Croatia and specifically from Dalmatia. So we are really blunt. We are really, straightforward. And we don't really like waffling around things just to get to the point. So when something really high stake is happening or challenging is happening, and then I have people around me being, well, don't take this wrong, anyone, but being politically British in a way that they are capable of waffling for hours, and at the end of conversation we are still, like over, then I'll just say things as they are. And obviously it's not always taken in the best way because it can actually like stir some spirits, let's put it that way. So I'm not,
I don't know. It might be me, just based on the discussions that we've had, and I've worked with you as well. I feel like it's about, the way I see it, you're just an efficient person. Again, this is my assessment of your character, but I feel like you're really open. You really like having discussions with people. Like honestly, this is one of our discussions, but at the same time, you just want to get stuff done. I don't know. I don't think there's, of course, we can go this way. There are various stereotypes of people who just get stuff done. Perhaps it might be linked to the fact that you're a woman. Perhaps it might be because of your culture. There are many what ifs in this situation. But I kind of feel like, if you're in the position where you have people who are counting on you, the best thing you can do for them is to get stuff done. And that's why I said you're a politician. You might be the politician of the future. But you're the kind of politician I think like major leaders should. You have your style is what I think major leaders should sort of like follow. But just on like the differences in like culture, how have you sort of managed that? Because I have a different like I've encountered it in a different way, and I'm guessing you've probably also encountered it in a different way. How have you managed the difference in culture? How long have you been in Portsmouth, if you don't mind me asking?
It's going to be 5 years in October.
5 years. So in the span of these 5 years, how British have you become? I'm messing with you, but how have you been able to tackle it?
I would say there have been quite a bit of cultural differences.
Yes.
And quite a bit of problems that maybe like ended up raising up from there. And as someone who came from a different culture, I could pick apart those issues. And I could like pick apart, okay, this is actually the cultural problem here. But working in an organization where the majority of people are Brits and most of them, like have never lived elsewhere, not all of them were capable of doing that. And I would say that's it. It led me to some really, really big barriers. And it made me actually realize more about all of those invisible barriers that people don't often like think about. For example, this is like a silly example, but linguistical things and how you end up learning languages. So I speak English now, but I'm speaking Croatian version of English in a way, because I learned this language through connotations of my language, through the way how we use words and stuff like that. English also has way less words than Croatian does. So because of it, sometimes it's impossible for me to figure out certain semantics because we would have used completely different words in Croatian to like paint a picture about certain things and issues. So because of those things and the way how languages change and evolve, you end up using things, for example, in Croatian, words can you and please come from the completely same root. So if I say can you please, especially in Dalmatia, people are going to be like, why do you keep saying please all the time? And I actually tested that when I was back home this Christmas. I was to every single friend of mine, I was like, can you please, can you please, can you please? At some point, one of them ended up lashing out.
Yeah,
she
was like, why are you saying please too much?
She's like, Maria, why do you keep pleading with me? Do not trust me that I'm going to do it? Just like say, do it, and that's it.
Yes.
And then here it's a different thing. Like, can you and please don't come from the same root. And if you don't say it like that, people are going to actually see you as rude. And it took me a bit to figure out that here you actually have to make conscious effort every single time when you're asking someone to do something for you to actually put it there. Because otherwise people are going to create these like internal barriers towards what you're asking them. Because they're going to create this entire picture of you as a person based on just the fact that you didn't say please when you were asking them to do something. To them, it's like the norm. It's socially, like...
It's socially accepted to say please, thank you, just... in consistently, continuously within like a discussion. And again, also, I'm from Cameroon. I think I mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
You don't say please that this like it. And again, this might be why I feel like sometimes the word is watered down. But just to talk to go back a bit in terms of your English, you're a very articulate person. I don't know. What did you study at uni? If
Psychology.
Psychology. Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. Do you think you would go into psychology?
Well, after working in the union for the last 2 years, I'm not sure.
Because this is something I wonder with people who study psychology, because you get these tools. Like for example, I study law. On a daily basis. I look at contracts just maybe a minute more than an average person, because I'm like, I don't want to sign this and then come back to it later on finding out I had signed something I didn't want to sign. When like laws come out, I'm not, interest is a strong word. Like it's just because I've been doing it for a long time. I'm interested. I want to find out, how will this affect this and this? Do you find that you're, say, for example, using the methods you've learned on like a day-to-day basis, maybe unconsciously, but perhaps also consciously?
Maybe. I've always been interested in like humans as such, like human being, and what drives them, motivators specifically. I'd always try to understand where the other person is coming from. I would say that psychology ended up helping tremendously in that. But I wouldn't say it always makes it easy to kind of like accept certain things just because you kind of understand them. So when it comes to future, I don't really know. I do agree that skills-wise, this is now just a second nature. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I think it's part of like my natural nature. Like there is a reason why I actually got into it at the first place. And it's because it worked with who I am as a person and how I was thinking and how I was working. But I have this deep belief, and I always had, that what you end up working at some point in your life, you may not even know that exists at this point. And it's really funny how life ends up taking you from one place to another, opportunities that you end up taking, people that you end up meeting, and so on. So who knows? Maybe I end up, in 20 years' time working on Antarctica, like hang out with snowmans and be like, this is the best job
Antarctica
ever.
is wow. You heard it here first. Maria's going to Antarctica in 20 years. Wow.
But you never know.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. You really don't know. I'm one of those people who likes having like a set plan on like, okay, this is my to-do list for today. I need to do thing A, B, C, and D. But every now and again, life just comes in the way. And if I'm too rigid or if I'm stuck, I'm like, I need to still get these things done. I just end up feeling really frustrated at the end of the day because, say another thing has come or something has changed in my schedule and I just can't, I can't do the last thing on my list or I can't even do everything on my list. And, as I age, I'm more finding that it's better to just allow life to do what life is doing. You can always still come back to that list and get those things done. But sometimes, it's not meant to be on that day. It's just not meant to be.
Yeah.
Go.
Just so I used to do those as well. So I remember I was in elementary school, 6th grade, and we were learning about something called petoljetke. So in Soviet Union, they used to run these 5-year-long plans. And to 6-year-old me, it was like, this sounds absolutely brilliant. Like you end up figuring out the next 5 years of your life, and it just happens.
At 6?
No, 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 6th grade. Sorry.
Okay.
So I was maybe like 12, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Still, at 12, that is, wow.
Yeah, but I started to write my own petoljetke, and every single one of them failed. Every single one. And I think it's because, as you said, you have to allow life to happen and yourself to grow. And sometimes plans change purely because of those things, and it's perfectly fine. So now I'm trying to do more of short-term goals, a few months or maybe up to a year, or what is the next logical thing that I need to do. And I try to kind of follow the inner feeling. Like if I have really strong inner feeling that I really want to do this or try this, and it's not getting away with time, it's not disappearing with time, I take it as a sign of something that is genuinely meant for me and my next step. And then I'm trying to figure out how to do it and how to take it.
We will have to come back to the Soviet Union and you doing 5-year plans at 12. But just on steps, you've been taking a lot of steps recently. You just came back from the El Camino. Do you want to talk about that a bit? What inspired you to go in the first place?
So I wanted to do fundraising for the local charity, and I was trying to figure out how to go about it. I wanted something physically challenging because
just on that note, do you mind explaining what the El Camino is?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. So El Camino is really a long pilgrimage. That started originally in one part of Spain and ends in Santiago de Compostela, that is in Galicia. That's part of Spain, right above the Portugal. And it's kilometers and kilometers that people have been taking for centuries. And now with time, different routes and paths were created. So there's even one from England now at this point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Do you walk from England to Spain? Is that...
Apparently.
Oh, wow.
Apparently.
Wow.
So some people started even in Reading, from what I've heard. So yeah.
Fair.
I would assume that they end up not swimming La Manche. I'm not sure how logistically they do that.
Yeah. They just reach the Thames and start walking on water,
Yeah.
The Lord does things. All I'm saying is God has power. That can be possible. But yeah, so you started in what city in Spain?
No, so I took the Portuguese route.
The Portuguese route,
I started in Porto in Portugal.
Okay.
And ended in Santiago de Compostela. And I think it's really cool about Camino nowadays that you can create it however you want and however it works for you. And people that I end up meeting over there, some of them, most of them aren't even doing it for religious reasons. They're doing it as personal challenges. So they just need some time to kind of get away from life, or to think about certain things. And they end up doing it for those reasons. And if you want to do only 2 days, you can do only 2 days, whatever works for you and fits your schedule. So I ended up doing mine with a friend, with another friend, and we started in Porto.
That friend is Maria. Maria is actually coming here on the podcast in the next few episodes, so stay tuned. Get a discussion from Maria.
Yeah, so Maria and Maria.
Yes. Don't get it twisted. They're two separate Marias.
So yeah, it was 280 kilometers in total.
Oof.
Yeah, that's what they say. I think it was a bit more because we were doing a longer route. There is, we were doing the coastal route, and that one is longer. It's called Littoral one, and it led us some really interesting ways and some really interesting paths.
Do you want to talk about the leg injury, the knee injury?
Oh, that's... knee injury didn't really happen there.
Oh.
I was just being stupid, if I can say that. Because at the beginning of May, I had accident at electric bike.
Oh.
Yeah, I was driving at 25 kilometers per hour when I tried to jump onto the pedestrian area, and I forgot that it's not my bike from back home, so it's way heavier than this, than the normal one.
Yeah.
So while driving 25 kilometers per hour, I just ended up hitting the curb and flying off. So that was the injury from then, but I handled that Croatian way, which is it's going to pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that pain, and I guess, there was, it actually injured things.
Yes.
Then while wearing 15 kilograms on my back, together with water and stuff like that.
How many days did you do the Camino?
10 days.
10 days, and walking for 10 days consistently.
Yeah.
I'm guessing what, 6 to 10 hours a day walking.
Yeah. So my knee didn't really handle it well.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's knee would handle that well. Yeah.
But it was fine. I saw it in a way at the beginning of Camino. Me and a big guy, we had conversation. I was like, I'm not going to have one single blister. I never said that nothing else is going to happen and nothing else is going to go wrong.
Did you have a blister though?
No.
Oh, you were manifesting things here, people.
So it was worth it.
Yeah. So you had to eventually stop over at a hospital because of that knee.
Yes. They ended up taking a look and stuff like that. They weren't able to do MRI.
Yes.
So the doctor told me to take 2 days rest and see how I'm feeling then. If I'm still feeling pain, to just go back home because it's not worth it. I may have not done that. He may have gave me prescription for meds, and I may have just continued the journey. I did take 2 days rest, but at that point, I don't know. I saw it as kind of mind over body as well. I didn't want to just give up. It was I felt it was something that I really deeply needed. I had a cause and the reason why I actually came there. So it wasn't just a vacation that I can pause and then go back to it.
Yeah. You have a reason for being there. And, until you fulfill that reason, it almost seems like you can't turn back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so pills helped.
Yeah. I think pills always help. Yes, of course, we're not advertising pills here. Please be mindful of the pills you take.
Not advertising, not listening to doctors as
well. But I kind of get a similar sense of that. I think I mentioned this to you. I did a 53K last year, and it wasn't. I don't think it was that hard. But I think the most challenging point, I got lost twice, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's in Wales, I feel that was more frustrating than the actual running the thing, because when I don't know. And again, this might be linked to limiting beliefs or mindset shifts. In my mind, I was like, I need to this is linked to the plans, and maybe we should talk about those Soviet Union plans you were doing at all. But in my mind, I'd planned to run for a certain amount of time, and so my effort was based on that certain amount of time that I was planning to run. So when I got lost the first time, turning back was really hard because I was like, I've already run this distance. It wasn't easy to come this far, but this farmer was like, sorry son, you're going the wrong way. You need to turn around. I was like, God, should I just stay with the sheep? Should I just become a farmer and never go back to the world? I eventually turned around. It took me 2 minutes though, and that's the thing. Time keeps going. You're just there, but time keeps going, and you need to move because I feel like you've probably noticed this within your 10 days. If you take a long rest at any point in that, you're not going. If say you needed the 2 days of rest, that of course I feel like that was like necessary, that was medically required. But if you're just unsick, if there's no issue and you decide to rest, you're not walking again for the rest of that day. I feel if you decide to take like a long rest, this might just be for me. But yeah, I turned around and I had to just start running back. Eventually got back on the path. Came down the mountain. Got lost again. This time but at least by the time I got lost again, I was already down on the valley, and one of the organizers saw me. I was like, "Sorry, man, you're going the wrong way." And I had to turn again and go. It was frustrating, but I feel like it's just going back on the path and allowing. Again, it's about allowing life to just do what life is. I had this plan in my head, and I feel like it's always good to plan the majority of the things you do in life. But you need to leave a bit of leeway for the unexpected. Just to touch on you planning at 12, what happened to you that you were planning at 12 years old? Like, I don't think, did any of you make any 5-year plans at 12? I don't think. If you did, any of the viewers, please leave a comment down in the comment section. But what inspired you? Where was this coming from?
I don't really know. I can't really say that I know. I don't know. I've always been just thinking about things and kind of like anticipating things and like jumping. And I had dreams, and I had the understanding that if I want to accomplish those dreams, I actually had to work towards them. But obviously it didn't really work.
It didn't work for the Soviets as well. I'm just putting that out there. It's, as you said, I feel I still have like 5-year, 10-year plans. But it's not a goal per se, as more a vision. It's a vision for how I want the next 5 or 10 years to be. Visions can always change. The interpretation of a vision can even change tomorrow. So I have those visions, but most of my real goals are in the short to medium term. And I feel like that's I feel like the vision is important, but I feel like that's a better way for me to sort of like motivate myself to do things on a day-to-day basis. At 12 years old, that is amazing. I was watching Ben 10 at 12. I don't know if you know what Ben 10 is.
I know.
I was watching Ben 10 at 12.
I was watching Ben 10 and writing.
Wow.
I think it is also part of the wish for something that you want for yourself. Because I'm also coming from we were poor. I can say that we were poor. So I also knew that if I want to get out of there, not there physically maybe, but out of that situation, I actually have to strive for something. And now looking back, some of them are so silly. Some of the plans and wishes that I had were just the product of society in a way. Some of them were what my friends were saying that they want. So, you want it as well because you're part of the group.
Yes.
And I don't know, in some of them, I had this idea that I'm going to go into uni, finish uni, and by the age of 24, 25, I'm going to be married. And then I'm going to have my first child, I'm 5 years behind that plan now. And it's not plan anymore. It hasn't been for a while. But it's interesting what when you're a child and when you're thinking about your future and imagining your future can come up with when you're working with what is actually expected of you or what you think is expected of you because of the different things and reasons.
I think in my journey I'm sort of shifting that, because again there's some societal expectations that I do believe I should meet. I do believe that it's important to be good to your neighbor. It's both a societal expectation and it's an expectation that I have from within. It's one of my personal expectations. But yeah, I get that. It's just in terms of my own story, my plan had been to finish my law degree, get a qualification, work at a law firm, and then try and make partner in like 8 to 10 years, or even shorter. It was actually 5 years. I put it like heavy. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do all nighters for this time. Just sacrifice everything, and then eventually I'll get to that point. And again, I think it comes from. I can also. I'm not afraid to say this, but my family is like middle class in Cameroon, but in the UK, it would probably be classified as a poor family. My family's well to do, as in that we have the opportunity. We have traveled a lot. We own a certain amount of assets, but with the exchange rates and things like that, all of that, it just comes up. But again, growing up, I don't think I necessarily had this expectation to get myself out of that situation. I think it more or less came when I reached my 20s, and I realized that what am I doing? What am I doing here? What is all of this? What is all of this about? I need to get some money. I don't know where that was coming from, but I was like, I need to make some money quick. And perhaps this is different for you, but these expectations are overbearing. It puts a lot of weight on you. You carried a bag for 10 days. You know how hard it is to walk around with this weight. I do wonder though, how do you feel? How have you been able to lift off the weight of these societal expectations, or do you still carry some?
Well,
that was a very deep question. Even I didn't know where that came from.
I'm like, this is a curveball. I'm trying to think about myself back then, and I would say that I definitely managed to lift some of them,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even most of them, because obviously we are talking about completely different societies when it comes to Croatia and the UK, so the expectations are also different.
Yes.
I did think that some of them I ended up internalizing at some point, so they kind of became mine. I would say that now I do carry the load, but it's not maybe what people expect from me, but maybe what I expect from myself, so that I can help people around me. And I think it's part of being high achiever as well, because sometimes you can really overwork yourself if you don't take the step back and allow yourself to execute less than what you can. Just because if you know and understand that if you continue to execute at that level, you're going to burn, and then it's not going to be beneficial for you, for people around you, for your career, for absolutely anything. I would say that maybe these last 5 years in the UK were the lesson in that area, especially in the last 2 years. Because first 3 years it was different. So I was working 4 jobs. I was working sometimes up to 70 hours a week because I was paying my own tuition and living expenses and stuff like that. So I can live, and it didn't change much from how I was functioning back in Croatia. It just continued. So it's this is something that I understand. I know, to struggle in this way. I didn't see it as struggle. It was just the life.
Yes.
But the last 2 years, when I just had one full-time job and one part-time that I just ended up keeping because why not? I started to have to question a lot my concept of life and what actually is worth sacrificing to achieve certain things career-wise and what's not. And I realized that all of the all-nighters that you end up pulling into the work, I had 10, 12-hour shifts. I used to, for the union specifically, I used to spend entire nights and doing coding, learning myself, teaching myself how to do certain things. But in the end of the day, none of those things actually matter. You end up stretching yourself too thin and wasting time that you could have spent doing something else or being with friends or traveling or no one is going to care about your all-nighters. No one is going to care about your 12-hour shifts. You're still paid the same. In the end of the day, it just matters if you can show up for yourself. And I would say that maybe these last 2 years, but life that led to them as well, kind of culminated in that understanding and acceptance.
You said something very beautiful there, showing up for yourself. I think that should probably be the title of this podcast, because a lot of people don't show up for themselves. Yeah, if you don't, no one will. I feel it's for most people, especially most people I know, they're very humble, they're overachievers, but they don't necessarily want to, they're not saying, oh, I've done this, I've done that, and I get that. But there's sort of this closeness in the way they describe. Like, for example, I'm going to use you as an example. Like, you've done some amazing stuff as an officer, but you're not one of those people who would brag about it. It almost seems unnatural, and I do wonder though, does that come from a place of you knowing that you've done this amazing thing? I don't know. I can even mention it's the 48-hour extension. You're one of the people who was on that, but you've done that amazing thing. Is it perhaps you thinking that I could have perhaps done more? And if you do more, there's no such thing. There's no limit to how much more you can do. I'm currently reading this book called Doing One Thing, because I feel like I'm also in that same boat, and I just want to do it. I'm always just trying to do as many things as possible, just trying to cram in as many things as possible, because I want to succeed in life, and I feel like regardless of whatever I'd say, that I feel like that's my main motivation. But success now looks very different to me as opposed to like 2 or 3 years ago. I went on placement and I'll be leaving the office at like 7. No one was there. No one, people would have left. My manager, I remember there was one evening, my manager was like, what am I still doing here? And I was like, yeah, I just need to finish this Excel sheet. And he was like, just go home. Just go home. But, it's just one of those things that I don't feel comfortable going home. The issue now is, how does that affect your relationships, your extracurriculars, your hobbies? See, coming from Cameroon, these things they exist, but they how can I explain this? It's almost a change when you shift that culture. You're in a new culture. You have no networks. You're trying to work as hard as possible to shine within. It's very competitive here. You're trying to work as hard as possible to shine in a very competitive environment. And you sort of forget that from time to time you need to show up for yourself. You need a break. You need to stop and say, okay, I'm doing these 5 things, but which of these things are actually helping me to be the kind of person I want to be? And again, I know we've spoken about having these 5 to 10 year vision boards, but I feel it can also guide some of your decision making today. What am I doing today, and how does it fit into my vision for 5 or for 10 years? But yeah, it's very, very interesting what motivates us. And again, we're from two different cultures, but we both have that underlying motivation to be the best we can possibly be. And I love it. I feel like, again, it's something I would want to see in more people. Of course, I'm not going to force my mindset down someone else's throat, but it would be amazing to and I really do love working with people like yourself. But yeah, just again to go back to say your journey and how you got to this position today. And I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this, but as a woman in a position of power, I'm guessing you're often, you're expected to behave in a nice way, but sometimes behaving nice doesn't always get the results you want to get. How did you navigate that? If that was a problem for you, or if you had any similar issues, how did you navigate it?
I did have, and I think it wasn't just about being a woman, but also about being a Slavic woman, because we have a bit more Slavic Mediterranean, I can say as well, like from where I am, and we have a little bit more of like sass. So I wouldn't necessarily, if you're openly disrespecting me or stuff like that, I wouldn't necessarily just like smile back at you. And I found, like, when I first started this position, like elected officer, one of the most liberating things that I heard was one of the trainers end up saying, but why do you feel like you need to smile? You don't have to smile if you don't feel like smiling. And it sounds really ridiculous and weird, but I had this really big pressure of that I need to change how I'm portraying myself to like fit better the working culture inside of the union. And that was really liberating because I realized that, no, I don't have to do that. I don't have to become or giggly and be like, everything is rainbows and flowers and we are talking in like
girly,
colors.
that's mad, as you say.
But it's literally like that. And it's fine, you know, like for people over there, it works because that's how they are or they adapt to that and it works for them. For me, it didn't. I just felt fake. And I was like, I can't continue to do it this way for much longer. And that sentence was really liberating at that level. Also, I guess, realizing that I have to start showing up for myself in like the working environment as well. I was still doing all-nighters and, you know, like really long shifts. I got locked into the building so many times, it's crazy. But realizing that I have to draw boundaries and actually stick to them and demand consequences for actions that weren't actually appropriate. I was told to be pretty and smile, that I need to do anything, to lower my head because I don't know what might come my way as well, which is actually a threat. And the level of sexism that I've experienced, microaggressions, passive aggressiveness, it was off the roof. I didn't really feel like I can operate in that environment and that I can actually achieve a lot. There were a lot of barriers, a lot of bureaucracy. It felt like I was actually at Balkans, like bureaucracy-wise as well. Yeah. And the entire system felt like I was preached that I'm now in the leadership position and I will be able to like achieve so much. And then in reality, everything was kind of just like dragging me back down. But I've learned a few really good lessons through all of that. First one is that I have to make a decision for myself if I'm going to choose to take the easiest route and just try to protect myself and my mental well-being, or if I'm going to take the harder route and try to change the system. And that's what I ended up choosing. And it wasn't the easiest route. It was extremely difficult to push, to try to create new systems, to prove things over and over again. But I managed. I'm not sure I managed to the level that I would have loved to, but I'm trying to be kinder to myself. And now I can actually feel that the impact of all of those things and decisions was actually way bigger than I originally felt like it was. I managed to bring the external trainers and stuff like that. There is now the entire system over how we are actually dealing with certain issues and concepts and differences inside of the union that didn't exist before. The university-wise, I absolutely loved working with the university as such, which is maybe also weird to say as the elected officer. Because usually elected officers and the unions...
separate from this,
Yeah, I have problems with like the university and higher-ups, but I'm really innovative in the way how I approach issues. And people at university are currently in really innovative mode as well. So...
It's like an opportunity for like synergy.
So solutions that I end up bringing to the table... And problems that I ended up bringing to the table, they actually end up hearing and helping me to actually navigate the system in the most optimum way. And
I feel like on that note, you know, it's also we have to just flag how other people have a toll on, say, how you work or how you pursue your goals. Because as you said, you're able to meet like-minded people who sort of like, you know, they saw your vision and they're like, okay, how do we get this done? You know, of course, you've also mentioned that you met people that would push back, and those people, I believe, will always be there because everyone should have their own opinions.
But it's sorry if I can just add, I think it's something about like values as well. The only reason why I continued and stayed until the end of my second term is because I said to myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do 2 terms and I'm going to do them to the end. So I can continue to try to make changes both inside of the union and at the university that are going to actually be beneficial for students. And I did that. It wasn't maybe the smartest decision always for myself as such, but I don't regret it because it was short-term sacrifice with a long-term gain, not only for other people, for students and the future members of staff, but for myself as well, because I'm going to know that I actually did all that I possibly could have in the context and circumstances that I was in. But it did teach me the lesson about like how organizational values actually matter and organizational culture. And in the future, because it's going to be less of the stakes and I'm going to have less of the impact, as you know, I'm going to be just one of the co-workers. I'm not going to be actual leader of the organization. If my values are completely opposite and my working culture is completely opposite from the organizational one, I'm just going to, I give my 2 weeks notice and leave.
Yes. I think that's always best.
Because it's not really worth it.
Yeah. I feel like working in London, one of the highlights from that role was that I had most of the people I was working with, I had shared values with them, and so it was easy for us to collaborate. I didn't work with everyone because it's a large organization, but for most of the people that I collaborated with, there was a shared sense of purpose about getting stuff done. These things vary. It's about getting these things done and getting them done in a timely and quality manner. But yeah, I do see that, it's about building, not even building the relationship, having the foresight to discern the kind of people who you want to build these kind of relationships with, or the kind of organizations you want to work with. Because as you said, going into another role in the future, your values might not align with the values of the organization. And I think that's okay. You leave, regardless of the situation, you will always learn something. But if you realize that this is just not the one for you, you pack your bag and you go. 2 weeks notice. But yeah, just on the note of you staying true to your values, do you feel like that's one of the reasons why you were able to finish the Camino even though you had that leg injury? Because when I saw the picture of you going to the hospital, I was like, oh no, this is over. It's done. It's done. And then 2 days later, you're back on the road.
Yeah. I think it was that, and I've always been kind of a person that it doesn't matter how much it hurts in any way of that word. If it needs to happen, it will happen because I will make it happen. And because there is actually the goal and the gain in the end of it that is truly good and beneficial. So not necessarily for me, because I would have to say, I have to say that I rarely actually do things for my own gain. I should probably maybe start doing more of those and less of, But I did think that was like genuinely mind over body that ended up pushing me through the rest of it. Because as I said, I came there with the goal, and the goal was to fundraise. We didn't do the fundraising bit then later really well. So I'm still fundraising.
Hey, Maria's still fundraising. I don't know when this will go out, but please, we will leave a link at the bottom of this. Please do contribute.
Yeah, but it was about raising the awareness, I guess, of the cause as well.
What cause was it, if you don't mind me asking?
It was for victims and survivors of stalking. So I chose the local charity called Stop Domestic Abuse. So they have like triple, I would say, like the areas that they work in. So they're obviously helping victims of domestic abuse. They're separately also helping victims of stalking. And then the third category is when those two overlap, because they often do, not always, but often they do. And yeah, I ended up...
I think I mentioned this, the first episode I did, even though it was more or less focused on introducing this podcast to our wonderful, wonderful listeners and viewers. The person I was doing with, Maria, she had encountered stalking, and it's just one of those things that it's shocking to hear, because in my experience, as I go around my day on a day-to-day basis, I don't see this. I see it online, but I don't see this happening, and so it's almost a tendency to believe that it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist because it's not in my immediate experience. And so when we had this discussion, we'd already spoken about it before. I was genuinely shocked to the length of through to which people go. It's like they don't have lives. It's shocking. That becomes their purpose in a way, which, there's a sense of that it seems to be a mental health issue that they need to probably address. But at the same time, I don't want to say the word. I hate using this word. I don't want to say pity, but it's almost a burden on the victims because their lives have shifted because this one person is not okay. Luckily, that gets Maria. Even though we touch on the stalker, I feel like she's come out of it in a better position, and she's just decided to live her life because she can't stop living because of that. These few incidents. Okay, there have been 3 incidents. It's quite a lot, but she can't stop living because of these. How did you find out about the charity?
How did I find out about the charity? Well, I was actually stalked for 2 years.
What?
And
like stalking is becoming a daily conversation on this podcast. If you have been stalked, please, we will put links at the bottom. I think if you have any links to share, please, I would love to share them here. But yeah, if you have stories about stalking, it seems like you have to come on this podcast. Sorry for interrupting.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So I was stalked for 2 years. And wait, what was even the question? I completely forgot.
How did you find out about the charity? I'm sorry, if the first episode, I think at least 20 minutes, not 20 minutes in one full length, but at least 20 minutes chopped up together. We touched on like the stalker. Oh, we just mentioned them randomly. And so it's like a funny coincidence. Please go on. How did you find out about the charity?
So I found out. So I was stalked for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I also at some point started therapy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually my therapist who said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, there is actually this local charity that I ended up finding out for you. Maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
contact them as well
Mm-hmm.
and see if they can like help you in any way and stuff like that."
Mm-hmm.
So I did end up contacting them. I didn't end up asking for their support because I was already in therapy. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think that like from psychological perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it might be good to like concentrate on one rather than the other.
Yes.
But I ended up contacting them, just like sharing a bit of like my story
Mm-hmm.
and basically giving the name of my perpetrator so that in
Mm-hmm.
the case that anyone in the future ends up coming back to them, they can at that point start creating some kind of case, I guess, and know that this isn't, like one-off. This is actually repetitive now for them. Yeah, so that's how I found out about them. And that's why I decided to do it for them. Because they were the only church that I could find in this area that was actually working with victims of stalking, actually helping them in the way that they were also trying to help them remove them from dangerous situations and so on. And I figured that my contribution in whatever way to them might be the most beneficial one.
So say someone's being stalked today, what are the tips you would give them? What advice would you give them based on your experience?
It's really
I know it's a
difficult one because it's difficult because it differs so much from person to person, and I would say that it's also long-term thing. Like you don't have person just suddenly. You don't have the incident and then person is suddenly like, oh yeah, I'm being stalked. And stalkers don't often, in majority of cases, I don't know statistics, but they don't start off as, yeah, today I'm stalking you. It's usually culmination. And because of it, it's actually more dangerous because it's slowly building up and culminating. And then you have the person who is experiencing it going through a lot of self-doubts because every single thing can be written off as something else. So you end up overanalyzing and justifying things. And then by the time that you reach the point that you have to accept something like that is actually going to you, you might be like months into it. And especially if you've spoken to some people around you at that point about it, they might already start getting into your head with, but is it genuinely that? And not everyone in your life is going to be supportive.
I think it's just because they don't have the full knowledge sometimes. But
knowledge, but I think that also people like to think the best about the other people, and people like to logically approach situations that are not logical. So you try to make the sense of things that genuinely don't make sense. Like when you think about it, who can imagine that someone just woke up one day and they were like, yeah, I have a crush on you, hence I'm just going to like stalk you, be absolutely everywhere, and I'm not going to take no for the answer. No logical person makes up that like that.
That should
and
happen.
Then you have people around you. I mean, it does, but like no one logical is going to come up with it. That's my point, you know.
That,
and that happens, but it's not from someone who can be reasoned with. So people that you end up confiding into, they might approach it from like the logical perspective because they're trying to make the sense of the situation. And they might even if they take you seriously, they might give you advice like, just say no, or just ignore, or just do this, or just do that. But then in the end of the day, none of those things might actually help.
I think it's just saying no. I've heard that a few times, and in most situations, it's so nuanced. There's so many things going on that it's not about you even saying no. You can't even say no. Well, you know, I feel like any communication would be like adding fire to the flame. You know, it's very, very, very tricky. And again, it's one of the things I can't speak on because I haven't personally experienced it. I walk. Again, I'm not plugging this, but I walk freely at night. I really don't. We work in the same place. When I leave work, I walk home. I literally don't care. But I've heard these stories about people feeling unsafe just to walk home. You know, people are scared that they might get molested or they might get stabbed. And again, these things don't commonly happen. It's not in the majority. These are rare occurrences. But they do happen, and it's something I feel like people should be aware of. So it would be great to get some of the links from that charity, and we'll put them on the bottom of this. Because again, I hate when in these situations the discussion is focused on the perpetrator instead of the victim, and also I don't like pitting the victim because I feel like when you pity someone, you're not, in most circumstances, you're not looking for a solution to help them to get out of that situation. You're just more feeling sorry for them, which is good to a certain point, but it doesn't help you in any way. You know, again, it's not a logical situation to be stalked, but I would always prefer to get a logical solution to getting out of stalking, if that's even a thing. And so, how has your journey been? You know, healing from that.
It's still happening, and it's been really difficult because suddenly you start to realize, you know, of the ways that it actually ends up impacting you. So it's not even, you know, like you're walking in the night and you're, you know, like kind of like, you know, like watching out or like extra vigilant, because I would say that as a woman, that's the majority of case for us anyway. But nights during the day as well, like in the areas where he used to, you know, like be, you know, like meet me or like see me or like, you know, try to like interact with me, you suddenly start to be like triggered by those places. Or people that resemble him, you start to be like triggered by those people as well. And it's those and so many different things in life on a daily basis, and then suddenly you just like pick up like, oh, I've never reacted to this situation like this before. What is happening? And then you realize, okay, this was like the trigger. So starting to like unpack those things and realize where they're coming from has been really interesting journey. Therapy obviously helped a lot, especially because we ended up, I even forgot the name of it, but the type of the therapy that I did is supposed to actually help your brain process the fear. So that it's not reacting from the fear anymore. And that was really helpful. I thought it's like some kind of voodoo or something, but it was good. It was good. I can also find out the name and then maybe, you know, like...
Yeah, we would definitely love to get that at the bottom of this podcast.
Yeah, but I guess it's, in the end of the day, also about accepting that it happened and even in a way for me at least, was about forgiving myself for not being there for myself, for questioning my own sanity, and for not doing things that I knew I needed to do to protect myself sooner. And sometimes in those cases, you end up asking for the advice and help from other people that don't know. And that's actually maybe even more dangerous because then their perceptions can actually affect how you are seeing and how you are experiencing it, but they don't know. And no matter how much they care about you, they don't know and they will never know. So I had like, oh, if I did this, if I did that, now I'm accepting that it happened the way it happened. And yeah, forgave people who gave me like wrong advice and who weren't maybe there for me that when I needed them to be. But most definitely to, I think, and the Camino I think helped me with that as well. To kind of like carry all of that and kind of like leave all of that burden of primarily not doing what I knew I needed to do to help myself and questioning my own sanity. To repeat myself, I think that was it. When I came...
That's a very powerful message.
Yeah, when I came to that point of like acceptance of that, it was extremely liberating. Yeah.
And I feel like, again, as someone who's had this happen to them, it's about coming out of this situation. Again, you need to accept it because there's no coming out per se. You need to accept that this has happened. But your worldview after this, I feel it needs to be one of liberation, as you just said. You know, you need to liberate yourself and forgive yourself as well. Two powerful words. And just again, I've not experienced talking but my dad passed away when I was like 8 years old, and I believe I only recently accepted that. You know, because as a child, you can't process this loss. And as you grow older, of course, you see the difference in your life and the life of your friends because they have, but I don't think I really had the time to process it all / mourn the death. And I'm only just accepting that this is something that has happened to me and this is something that I have to live with. Forgiving myself again because I've perhaps gone astray, or perhaps I believe that I could just forget about him entirely. But pushing myself towards a better area, liberating myself from whatever shackles that I put on myself. So wow, I feel like you've come out of that as a better person. Yeah.
But I think that's what comes out of like both of our experiences of basically dealing with something that is really deeply traumatizing. Actually,
yes,
is time, but not time in a way how people often say. They often say like, oh, just let it to time and it's going to pass, but it's not. You have to process it. You have to actively be working on processing something, and that's where the time comes in. You have to take the time out of your life to actually work on that something and to come to the root of that something and then start resolving it. And then with time, when you actually actively work on it to resolve it, you can actually liberate yourself. Otherwise, if you just let it, like fly with the wind,
it would just,
takes forever.
I think I said 8. My dad passed away when I was 8, and it's been a very, very long time until now. And just one of those things that I haven't really had the opportunity to process. But you said it's about taking time out, little chunks. It might be an hour today, 30-minute walk tomorrow. I feel like the 100K I'm planning to do in July is basically, it's been all around, processing this loss. And again, I don't think running or even walking is what people would typically associate with processing these kind of trauma. But I find it really liberating because you're doing something you wouldn't normally do on a day-to-day basis. You're putting yourself in an extremely, it's a painful situation, but a situation that's out of your normal experience, and just seeing how you adapt to that situation and seeing the kind of things that come up. Like Sunday was Father's Day, and I did a 33K on Saturday, and I feel like my body hadn't recovered enough by Sunday. So Sunday I was just chilling at home, but my body there was a bit of pain. I'd done some stretching, but there's still you can feel your body recovering, and in accumulation with that, the messages for Father's Day and just like some communications with my family, I cried for the first time this year, and it's a painful thing to cry, but after it's like the weight has been lifted off your shoulders. I don't know how it happened, but I would honestly advise anyone to try it out. And I spoke with my family members, and they were like, yeah, there's something you need to accept. You can't outrun this, which is what I was trying to do. I was literally trying to outrun this.
Yeah.
But it's about accepting it and trying to process it on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
But I think you are like, I'm thinking similar way about that. I feel like sometimes, especially if person is really used to just having to be strong and having to like move on for whatever reasons, it becomes your first nature and even second nature. And sometimes you genuinely need to tire out your body so much so that things that need to come out can start coming out, because there are no like barriers anymore. Your mind isn't, your brain is just like trying to focus on
just recovering,
and things just like start to like pop out.
It does. It's one of those beautiful things that I'm lucky to have discovered, is that when you're tired, there's those emotions that you're feeling, not in all circumstances, but sometimes in most circumstances, those emotions are the things you really need to address at that moment. So yeah, it's again, I feel like it might be a lifelong journey coming out of these things, but as long as you're taking the appropriate steps, I feel like you're putting yourself in a good position, and as long as you're showing up for yourself, which is a quote by you. I think you need to get the quote, the things where you have the picture of the person on the side and then the quote and then you have your name. I think you should do a t-shirt. We should do a t-shirt about that. Yeah. But yeah, showing up for yourself, I feel I don't know where you got that from. I feel like it's a beautiful message. I think it's a message the viewers and / the listeners should take away from this podcast. It's not just about walking around or going on these insane runs. So what's next for Maria?
I have no idea. No, like this entire, like I've been taking a little bit from January, and I've had a lot of people, and I've been really blessed with like mentors and like coaches and stuff like that, and people who genuinely care about me, and all of them are like, Maria, like you have to start looking for jobs, right? This is what you can do. This is what you can do. My mentor, she ended up even like she ended up opening the website, and like careers website on the projector. She was like, Maria, this job you can do it. This job you can do it. This job you can do it. And I'm truly grateful for all of those things. But I guess this is the part where you just feel what is it that you need. And you need to take it because that's what you genuinely need. So what I need is to go back home, to spend a few months back home. I wanted to concentrate on finalizing my journey here until the 30th of June, and now it's going to be 2nd of July. And that's what I ended up doing. Then to go back home, visit friends that I haven't seen in a while, family, relax a bit, travel a bit. And use that time to also start thinking deeply actually about what is the next for me. What is the title that I want to take? What is the job that I want to do? And what is the field even, like the sector that I want to apply in? I don't want the next stage to be just out of fear for money. Money is always going to come. I can always do side jobs. I can always, have part-time jobs. I can always like be a waitress for a bit and then just like earn money and then delete it from my CV. No, joking. But it doesn't matter. I don't want to take really big step into direction without having some sort of clarity what it is. But I think that it's also important to have some sort of deadline, because otherwise I might spend like the next decade thinking, you know, and then decade later you're like, well, no. So I'm going to take 3 months. I give myself a limit of 3 months. 3 months to be with friends, family, think about things, and then just commit. Apply for a few things, and what happens.
I think that's also another thing that I would love the viewers and / listeners to take away from this podcast, is sometimes you just need time to take a step away from whatever you're doing and just take some time to really process it and plan your next decision. I have a friend actually in London. She was working with Kaplan, which is like they provide like certifications, they do like exams and stuff like that. And you know, she up and told me like last year that she's moving back. She's from Slovakia. She said she's moving back to Slovakia. I was like, what? Just like that? And she was like, the job doesn't really align with where she wants to be in life, and she wants to focus more on like her pole dancing. She feels that this is her passion. She is really passionate about it, if I'm being honest. And she wants to sort of take the time out and just reconnect and re-strategize her next steps. And I feel that's a very powerful thing to do, because again, if you're thinking just about, you know, I need to get this job, I need to get this office job, I need the money. It's true, you need the money. But it's about giving yourself the time to think through your decisions, because if you go into a 9-to-5 job, you probably be stuck in that sector for the next 10, 12, you know, even 20, 30. People stay for 40 years. I don't know how they do it, but you know, and so you would have to just keep showing up every day for 40 years. Imagine not liking that job. You would go insane. I feel like that would, and again, not to joke or about your trauma, but I feel like that would turn anyone into a stalker. That is sorry, apologize to myself. It's just that mental strain about not wanting to be in that position. And I feel that's one of the things that really pushes me to try new experiences. I think you've mentioned about some of the experiences you've really tried to push yourself into. You even mentioned that coming on this podcast was like you pushing yourself to do new experiences. Do you have any other experiences lined up?
I mean, kind of.
Okay.
My life is kind of like side quests.
Your life is
so, but I have 2 things. So I'm continuing to be student advisor for a quality assurance agency for higher education here, and starting to be assessor for new mental health charter that by student minds that universities are going to take over. So I'll be assessing universities, stuff like that. So it's kind of like side projects, passion projects and stuff like that. But I do a lot of certifications on the side and so I have, you know, like side quest. Yeah.
Hey, this is also a side quest.
Yeah, this is
a side quest. Yeah.
But I think that, I don't know, primary one is just going to be trying to chase that balance, I guess, in life. Because I feel like that's what it all comes down to. You know,
getting that balance. And
somewhere between I'm planning, but I'm not too rigid. I'm flowing, but I'm not too, banderless.
You don't want to flow too much. You don't want to flow too much.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be too rigid at the same time. It's like staying in the middle.
Difficult.
Which, it is. It's very, very difficult to stay in the middle because there's a tendency to go on either extremes. I feel I'm one of those people who either I enjoy too much or I just do too much work. There is no in between for me. And I'm only recently just finding out how to sort of balance those things. And, I'm in a good state now. I'm in a good equilibrium now. But I know, with a new job, me moving to a new city, these things will change. I've kind of come to peace with it at this point, that there will be points in time when I have to just do more work. And there will be points in time when I will have to relax more. It's just, it just is. There will be times when I'll be in the middle. But I think another goal of mine is just to find a way to stay in that middle spot for as long as possible. Showing up for yourself, people. That is the message from this podcast. I feel there are other things, and of course we will put links to charity that Maria did the walk for in the bottom of the podcast, in like one of the links. Just so if you've ever been stalked or if you are a victim of stalking, you can have a look at that. And if you are, please do reach out to someone. I feel like that's as soon as you feel like this is an issue, please don't second guess yourself. Reach out to, should I say, a professional?
Yeah.
Is that probably better? As you said, sometimes people might not get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, do reach out to a professional. But yeah, show up for yourself. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Maria. It's been an amazing discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that scary.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.